The Pacific Ocean has a way of making a person feel insignificant. Miles upon miles of endless black water stretched in every direction. No land, no ships, no birds. Just an ocean so vast it felt like another world. My name is Ethan Mercer. If someone had told me 6 months ago I'd be stranded alone on a homemade raft somewhere in the southern Pacific, drifting towards the icy waters surrounding Antarctica, I would have laughed. Now, I wasn't sure I'd survive another day. It all started aboard the research vessel Horizon Star. Our crew had been hired to investigate unusual underwater seismic activity deep in one of the most remote parts of the Pacific Ocean. We were nearly 2,000 kilometers from the nearest coastline. The captain joked during dinner, "If something happens out there, nobody's coming." We all laughed. 3 days later, a rogue wave appeared from nowhere. Not 20 feet, not 30. It looked like an entire wall of the ocean had risen into the sky. The ship never had a chance. Steel screamed, glass exploded, men disappeared into the freezing darkness before anyone had time to shout. I remembered falling, and then nothing. When I woke up, I was floating alone. Somehow, I'd managed to tie myself onto an emergency life raft before blacking out. My supplies weren't encouraging. Half a bottle of fresh water, a flare gun, a knife, a fishing line, one emergency blanket, and absolutely no sign that anyone else had survived. And day after day, the ocean slowly began stealing my sanity. The sun burned my skin during the day. The cold froze my bones every night. Every wave sounded like something breathing beneath me. Every shadow made me stop paddling. Every splash made my heart race. And by the 5th day, I honestly wasn't sure what was real anymore. And then I saw the whale. A massive blue whale surfaced nearly a kilometer away. It released a towering mist of air before slowly diving back beneath the waves. For the first time in nearly a week, I smiled. I wasn't alone. That feeling lasted less than 30 seconds, until the ocean exploded. The whale didn't dive, it was pulled. Something beneath the surface grabbed a creature weighing over 100 tons and yanked it completely sideways. The whale's tail slammed against the water, and the ocean turned white. Then, silence. No blood, no floating body, and no explanation. Just gone. I stared into the empty sea. What in God's name? That night, the storm arrived. Dark clouds swallowed every star. Rain hammered against my tiny raft. Thunder rolled endlessly across the ocean. Lightning flashed, and for one split second, I saw them. Gigantic tentacles, each one thicker than the largest tree I've ever seen. They rose out of the ocean nearly a mile away. 1, 2, 3, and then another. The next flash of lightning revealed what they surrounded. A military destroyer. Its spotlight searched desperately through the rain. Sirens echoed across the ocean. Crew members ran across the deck. Then the tentacles wrapped around the ship. Steel bent like paper. The destroyer split apart. Explosions lit the storm. A distress flare shot high into the sky, and seconds later, everything disappeared beneath the waves. The ocean became silent again, as though nothing had happened. No animal should have been capable of that, yet I'd watch it happen with my own eyes. Only one thought entered my mind. Did it see me? Morning came, and the sea was strangely calm. Too calm. And then my raft lifted, not because of a wave, because something underneath it was rising. The logs beneath me creaked. The water bulged upward, and a shadow slowly passed beneath my craft. Then I remembered there was no ocean floor, not here. The shadow kept moving, longer, 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 and finally, a dorsal fin sliced through the surface. It towered above the water, and the creature slowly turned. Its jaws opened just enough for rows of enormous teeth to catch the sunlight. Every instinct inside me screamed the same word: Megalodon. Impossible. Extinct. Yet there it was, swimming silently beneath my raft. But it ignored me. Instead, it accelerated towards another blue whale feeding in the distance. The attack lasted only seconds, and the whale disappeared beneath an explosion of white water. The prehistoric shark surfaced again. This time I nearly saw its entire body. It dwarfed every great white shark I'd ever seen. I watched it in complete disbelief. Then, the sea exploded behind it. A colossal tentacle erupted from the ocean. It wrapped around the shark's tail, and the megalodon twisted violently. Its jaws snapped at empty water. Another tentacle wrapped around its body, and then another. The entire ocean churned into chaos. Two giants disappeared beneath the waves. Seconds later, the impossible happened. Hundreds of feet above the ocean, the megalodon launched completely into the air. Time stood still, and the massive shark crashed back into the sea only 50 meters from my raft. The impact nearly flipped me over, and blood spread across the water. But then, everything became quiet. One enormous tentacle slowly rose from beneath the waves, but it didn't attack. It simply pointed towards me. As though whatever lived beneath the ocean had known I was watching the entire time. I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't move. I simply waited. After several terrifying seconds, the tentacle slowly disappeared beneath the surface. And then I noticed something else. Far beyond the bloody water, land. A small island. Rocky cliffs rose from the ocean. Dense forests covered nearly every inch of it. It looked untouched. Untouched by civilization, untouched by time. It was my only chance. If I could somehow reach that island, maybe I could survive. Maybe I could finally escape whatever nightmare lived beneath these waters. I grabbed my paddle and began rowing with every ounce of strength I had left, hour after hour. The island slowly grew larger. As I drifted closer, something didn't feel right. The forest was completely silent. No birds, no insects, and no movement. And then, out of the corner of my eye, something stepped behind one of the massive trees. It was enormous, covered in dark hair, standing easily 8 or 9 feet tall. And then another, and then another. Dozens of glowing eyes stared at me from the tree line. But they weren't people. They weren't bears. They were something else. Something ancient. Something intelligent. I had escaped the monsters beneath the sea, only to discover I had landed somewhere even worse. And somewhere behind me, far out in the ocean, a single massive tentacle slowly rose above the waves once again. It was waiting, as though it knew there was nowhere left for me to run.